Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another autocross car build. My vehicle today is the Honda Civic, the 97 Type R. This is a car that's been quite highly requested. I'm also curious to see how this one will do. Being a front-wheel drive car, I've only had one front-wheel, well, technically I've had two front-wheel drive cars, only one vaguely serious one. The limo had much horsepower, did surprisingly well for a limo, but the only really serious front-wheel drive car was the Cooper Works Mini, did a 2-minute 10, is a fair way down the table. This thing might stand a pretty good chance, though. I mean, front-wheel drive is not really ideal for autocross because you are asking an awful lot of the front tyres. They're doing an awful lot of work at an autocross course, especially when we've got such a technical circuit for the vehicles to be dealing with. But this certainly stands a decent chance. The Civic is a fantastic handling car. This one, I really do quite like it. So yeah, if anything stands a chance, perhaps this one. I'm also surprised that those rear tyres drop the PI. That's very rare. 245s on the rear, 235s on the front. Perhaps not too unsurprising tyre sizes for this vehicle, but we are not going to have a huge amount of power, I don't suspect. Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, yeah, the wider tyres add weight, but I would have thought they would have been better for balance. But there we go. Right, we will take them. Now, I'm going to put all the handling parts on first. Whether we will do an engine swap, I think it's unlikely. In all honesty, I think it's unlikely we will go with an engine swap, but look at that. Look at that wing. Impressive. Oh, we've got the glorious double wing. Yes, we have a glorious, glorious double wing. Again, that drops the PI massively. Okay, the PI is interesting on this car. I don't know if any of these are going to be lighter, and they are not, and I'm guessing these will be adding. So there's slightly less drag, but more weight. So no, we're not going to be needing any of them. We're going for, yeah, again, we'll go through all the handling parts. I'm not allowed to change the drive lines for the cars in this series, hence why the Civic will remain front wheel drive. Yes, I would like to have the anti-roll bars. I mean, this thing is going to come out really rather light. It starts off like 2,400 pounds. We might get it under two. Oh, we might get it. It'll be perhaps close to under 2,000. I don't think it'll quite go. The roll cage is going to add a little bit of weight. This will drop a whole lot out. We got it down to 2,176. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it under the 2,000 pound mark, but it is going to be very, very light. Let's take a look at our choice engine-wise. We can have the 2-litre i4. Maybe this is the S2000 engine, then maybe it isn't the Civic engine. I'm not sure. But either way, we can have another Honda engine. We can go for the Turbo Rally. Turbo Rally engine, a front-wheel drive car, is suicide. Or we can go for the V6. I think we might actually stick with the standard engine, to be honest. What have we got in the way of options here? Turbocharger or supercharger? Do we go for... Oh, this is the choice. Turbo Rally engine's out of the question. The power band in this is too awkward to work with a front-wheel drive car. You just waste your time spinning the wheels. There's far too much torque for it to deal with. So yeah, Turbo Rally engine's out of the question. We could go for a V6 and go for very little in the way of engine upgrades, but they're all heavier. I think we're going to stick with standard engine, to be honest. We'll come back to what we do with the forced induction. I'm not actually sure how much power we can get out of this thing. I mean, admittedly, that's stuck the PI up by quite a lot. This is going to have very little in the way of power. This is like 22 horsepower is making pretty big differences to the PI gains on here. So yeah, we're not going to have a huge amount of power. And that's actually quite good for a front-wheel drive car. If we can make the PI up with handling parts, because, you know, when you're asking the front wheels to deal with 300, 400 horsepower, that's when you get trouble. I think we're going to have to go with we will have to go with the camshafts in here, and then we can... Oh, wait, have I done... I might have just realised I think I've forgotten to do these bits. Whoopsie. We will definitely need these. We may have to go back and take out some engine parts. I completely forgot. I hadn't gone through these. Right, we will have a clutch, and we will have a lightened drive line down to 2,087 pounds. That's pretty good. Pretty good on the weight front, and again, we will get a diff. So, yeah, it's... I genuinely am not sure what we're going to quite get out of this Civic. I think it could be pretty good. It's... Yeah, can it deal with all the power going through the front wheels? That is the biggest question with this car. If it can, then I definitely reckon this will be a pretty quick vehicle. If it can't, we might have some control issues. And the other thing that we can often get with front-wheel drive cars, cold rear tyres in the opening couple of gates can also be a little bit scary with some oversteer. But 336 horsepower in a car that weighs just over 2,000 pounds, pretty good power to weight ratio. This is all going to be about, can the Civic put the power down onto the road, and can it change directions well at the higher speeds? So here we are at the Hockenheim circuit, ready for our 3 runs. The current leader and target time was set by the Volkswagen Beetle at 2 minutes 5.6. I am not expecting the Civic to challenge the top of the table. I mean, the only real comparison we have is with the Cooper Works Mini down in 13th with the 210.2. If we can go quicker than that, I think we're doing pretty well. I don't know. I'm genuinely not sure how this is going to deal with all of the power going through the front wheels. If it deals with it well, this could be a pretty quick car. But we could well have, it's just asking so much of these front tyres to deal with 300 horsepower, very, very quick changes of direction. I'm hoping that it'll be a pretty good car, but it's I'm not sure we're quite going to have the grip and be able to carry the speed. But we shall see. The brakes seem pretty decent on here. Gear ratios are pretty nice and short. It's going to be all about, can we manage the wheel spin on the Civic. Whoa! Okay, yeah, as expected, the high-speed gates are interesting. Interesting indeed with this car. Certainly that first one, I'm not going to be able to chuck the car in the manner that I would perhaps like to. Oh, I just got a little too close to that one. Okay, we've had a couple of little mistakes. It carries great speed through there, though. That's really good through that section. Can we be flat out? Yeah, that's where we're going to have, I fear, we might have issues. It's trying to carry. The understeer is certainly not bad in this car compared to some vehicles I have driven, but we're talking very fine margins around a course like this, and it's right on the edge of being flat out through that section. Oh, yeah, I am actually turning in and expecting a little bit more understeer from this car and clipping a few gates on the inside. Got a relatively lively rear end. It's not got off-power oversteer though. That's what there's a horrible thing to have to deal with. In any vehicle in an autocross event. So I'm glad to see that we don't have that as a problem. Be aware of the understeer. You can let it carry it a little bit wide around here. Not too wide though. We've still got to get it through the tunnel up towards the hairpin here. Acceleration seems pretty decent. Again, we can let the understeer drag it out a little bit wide through there and play it incredibly close to a barrel on the outside there. Right, and then we weave up towards this final section. I'm quite impressed with this car so far, actually. I've got to say, the high-speed understeer is a little bit of a problem, but everywhere else it actually changes direction very, very well. I think we might have a car that can deal with its front-wheel drive power pretty nicely. A 227, I missed a few gates, I think about 3 at least in all of that, and got some sideways and lost some time. A solid opening run, though, from the Civic. So, on to our second attempt. Well, I'm pleased to report there's slightly less understeer management involved in this than I had perhaps feared we might have. Still got to be careful, especially setting off from the line. It's very easy just to sit here and spin your wheels. And these opening gates, I am still quite wary of the back tyres, perhaps wanting to let go. Just got a little bit of a lock-up through there. I'm still getting caught out by these brakes. The brakes on this are pretty damn powerful, and we'll get this stopped really very quickly. It's here. This is one of I think the big gate issues we're going to have. That was a hold your breath moment. Yeah, that is one of the big issues we have, because we've still got relatively cold rear tyres. Trying to change direction through there, I just simply can't carry the speed. Not the same sort of speed that we saw from the likes of the Beetle. And when we come down here, if I get the run out of the corner right and don't get too much wheel spin, it's as quick as anything else through here. We're playing it really, really risky. But, yeah, down there, okay, we got it better that time. I still had a little lift. Acceleration is phenomenal, by the way. I just realised the speed we were doing down there. That's 115, despite having to have a little lift through that high-speed section. That's really very, very quick. Provided you're not a complete and utter moron with the throttle and with the understeer, this is a damn good car. Alright, I didn't clip the gate on the inside that time around. Alright, we're going for this. It does change direction so nicely. Really does. This just has a tad too much power for the front wheels to deal with, in all honesty. It is a really impressive car. I am liking this as much as I thought I might. Oh, I did a stupid thing. I did a really stupid thing running through there. I slightly forgot I was in a right-hand drive car and didn't quite give enough space to the gate. Yeah, that was poor driving from me, and now I'm pushing it far too hard through that section there. But yeah, as I was saying, I really like this car. There is just, a fraction. I would like fractionally larger front tyres, or it's just a little bit too much of a struggle to get the power down out of the gate. It just wastes that little bit of time spinning the wheels, which is, less than ideal. We shall run to the line, 2:22.2. We've got a couple of gates. That's actually not quite as fast as I was expecting, perhaps. A lap time. Well, we will get one more attempt to try and find some of that time. So, on to our final run with the Civic. Got to cut out the little driving mistakes. Let's try and remember how wide our car is. Always useful in autocross. The bigger issue, though, perhaps something we can't really fix, is the same thing we had with a Mini, really. It's just a little too much power going through the front wheels. We're just asking them to deal with too much. 300 horsepower is, okay, still 340 horsepower. It's not the most powerful car we've had here, no, but you're asking the front tyres to do a lot of work with such a narrow, windy, tight course. It was neater through there, certainly, but I mean, that was, about 95 miles an hour on the exit. We're doing, 115, 112, somewhere around that kind of region with the Beetle. You just, certainly the early run bit here, you can't carry the speed. The rear tyres haven't warmed up enough. Once you get down here, it does actually start handling very, very nicely. But we're going to lose a fair bit of time early on. And then you see there, when I go on the power to get ready, it's just sudden understeer. Suddenly it wants to go straight again. And that's quite awkward to work with. We had to have a little lift. Very, very quick, this car. Phenomenally fast, even with a little lift and fighting with some of the understeer through there. That is quite impressive from this. 116 miles an hour. It's one of the fastest cars we've had going down here. Got to have little lifts down there to make sure we don't end up in a silly position. Again, try and deal with the understeer as best we can coming through here. Like, that change of direction there is really, really nice in this car. Really a very, very good car, this. It's just some of the gates, I think some of the gates we lose quite a lot of time on, especially early on. I think we lose a fair bit of time. Now we're coming out towards the tunnel, you see that understeer again kicking in. Oh, that was really on the limit of what I can do through there. That was millimetres away from disaster with the barrels, trying to get on that power again, but we've got to be mindful of the understeer as we run up towards this final section. Now, this kind of section here I don't think we're too bad on. We do fairly well on this part of the track. It's kind of like the really high-speed stuff and the really low-speed stuff where we might have issues. By now we've got lovely warm tyres, the car is light, the car is agile, great chassis on this thing, so we do change direction nicely down here, run to the line, but it's not going to be enough. A 2:12.0 from the Civic. I'm actually quite surprised by that. I will be honest, I am quite surprised by that time, because this feels like a very good car to drive. As an A-class car, this feels actually pretty damn good, especially considering it's front-wheel drive. But it's not massively fast, which is a little bit of a shame. Kind of a similar thing happened with the NSX. It's something with the Hondas. The NSX was an absolutely exquisite car to drive, but it wasn't actually that fast, all things considered. And it is a similar story with this Civic. A 212 will put it a couple of seconds down on the Cooperworks Mini, and I prefer this car. I like driving this car more than I like the Cooperworks Mini, but it's just not quite as quick. I think certainly early on in the run, we really struggle through those high-speed corners. That first of the high-speed gates, we lose time there, a lot of time there, with the car just not having... It doesn't have the rear-end grip on the cold tyres, and the understeer is quite a lot through there, so Yeah, it's a shame. It does struggle a little bit. I think front-wheel drive probably isn't going to work particularly well around. I mean, if the Cooper Works Mini and this are struggling, they are two very, very good front-wheel drive cars. You're asking too much of the front tyres. They just can't deal with the demands of the autocross course, delivering the power and doing all of the steering and a lot of the braking. You just can't get enough grip from them. But still, I mean, a 212 is not a bad time at all from the Civic. As I said, it's a couple of seconds down on the Cooper Works Mini and the Tesla Model S. It does beat the Rolls-Royce Wraith. It goes quicker than the Wraith and the Fiat 8V and the Lotus Carlton. I like it as an A-Class car. I think it's a good A-Class car, but we're just asking too much of it. With an autocross course, those poor front tyres cannot quite cope. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.